In the automotive world, there are tons of vehicles, some of them not requiring an introduction, this one being such the case. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the latest edition, the 2017 Volkswagen Golf, a vehicle that's been out for decades. If you're familiar with the VW Golf, basically what you're going to notice is the profile. It hasn't really changed well over the about 3 decades it's been around. Really starting with the good old hatchback profile. Now, of course, if you look back in the 70s, that definitely is a throwback era. Everything really having that stylized, somewhat plain Jane exterior. But like anything, like me, like vehicles, they evolve and, well, become a little bit more sleek. Some of us in the design, some of us, well, up top. Now, what I like is basically you can't reinvent the hatchback, but, well, they've done pretty well here. All starting on the outside. Now, what you're going to see is it's going to be monochromatic all the way around. Body color pretty much everywhere you look. Black accents really around the windows. And what I like is there's no chrome, especially on small vehicles. You start dressing this vehicle up too much, it just looks awkward. Looking at the 4 corners, one thing you're gonna note on this vehicle is the upgraded version when it comes to the wheels, because after all, they start at 15-inch small options. This one being specifically 18-inch. Now, what I like is they really add the dynamics, first from the look, second from the get up and go. Now, this model is front wheel drive, but what I like is it is truly spirited. And we'll get to that when we get under that hood in just a second. Now, another thing to note while we're looking down the sleek side is the overall ground clearance. This vehicle snugging pretty close in the mid 5-inch range. Looking at the overall dimensions, safe to say that my 6-foot frame, well, is going to squeeze into this vehicle surprisingly quite well. Now, by the numbers, this vehicle is around about 167 inches overall. Wheelbase about 103. Now, if you notice, the wheels are about as pushed to the edges as possible, helping give, well, a little bit more volume on the inside. What I also like is the overall width and height. The width coming in just under 6 feet, the height clearly just under 5. But what I found, not too shabby when I try to bend inside. Now, grille warfare has definitely changed over the evolution of this vehicle. Back in the day, a bug's nightmare, pretty much squared off and, well, pretty much boring. Now, what they've done here is, well, make it a little bit more sleek, matching the overall aerodynamic flow from front to back. Now, what I like is it is somewhat simple. The grille itself, well, very minimalistic, very horizontal, going all the way across. Now, they do, of course, put the VW big front and center. Now, headlights have come a long way since when this vehicle came about. Really menacing and dynamic, and you can see that right across here. Now, what I also like is safety. Of course, sensors on this very small vehicle is going to allow you to get in those tight spots, and a lot of added driver alert systems, of course, help this even more. Even on a small vehicle like this, there are big innovations, and it all starts right here at the door in the form of the good old smart key systems. Now, I talk about this 100 times, the VW Golf taking it to the next level, and where it starts is truly at the door handle. A lot of different operations depending on vehicle. What they do here is kind of the touch sensitive, pretty much meaning you put your hand here, it knows you're there, unlocks the doors. Really nice and sleek. Simply, if you want to lock it up, run your hand here, it locks it back. Now, what's even better is the security goes right down to the fill-up area. And what I'm referring to is this hatch locks in coordination with the car. When you get to the fill-up area, if the car's unlocked, simply walk right up, press here, and it opens up. Now, one thing I've always talk about all the time is, of course, going capless. This one having the cap system, but oh well. Now, what you expect on a hatch is, of course, a nice full-size option back here, and, well, they haven't reinvented the wheel by any means. The hatch is pretty much going to be standard operating procedure. Now, what I like is for the VWs, they make it a little bit even more sleek to get in the back area, and what I'm referring to is just the good old handle operation. In some cases, you would find a little niche down here, maybe a handle up higher. That just makes the design, well, not sleek anymore. What they've done here on the Golf is hidden the handle right here in the emblem. Simply press up on top, pull there, and it opens right up, making the whole operation nice and sleek. Now, once this is open, you're going to see around about 22 cubic feet of space. Nice area, especially considering a sedan can get nowhere close to that. What you're also going to notice, with all the seat laid flat, you're going to more than double that space. Diving into the cargo area just a little bit more, one thing you'll notice is with this rear tonneau cover here, it actually acts like a shelf. It's nice and rigid, really there when you need it to maybe put some items up here, separate it from down below. Of course, it'll swing out of the way, when the hatch is raised. Now if you notice down below on the cargo floor, nice little handle here. You pull up, you're going to find a full-size spare and a little bit deep cavern if you really need to hide some more items underneath. Now one of the best parts about this vehicle is in the fact that this 6-foot frame can climb inside easily, or well, it has a lot of cargo area. Where this truly shines is with the power plant under the hood and the Spirit off the line. Now let's look under the hood, and the first thing I like is the fact that the hood itself is hydraulic lift. Simple handle release right here, and it rises to the occasion. Now once you reveal the engine, what you're going to notice, it's a 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder engine, of course turbocharged. That's going to live around about 170 horses, but more importantly 199 foot-pounds of torque. What does that mean? A boot, scoot, and boogie off the line. Now this particular engine was coupled with the automatic transmission, but a manual version is available. On average, you're going to get about 25 to 36 miles per gallon. Most vehicles can handle any size driver in the front, so let's take a look at backseat drivers first, because that's just as important. Now what you're going to notice, my 6-foot plus frame, it's fairly decent back here. Of course, it takes just a little bit of bending to climb inside, but once you're in here, it is quite comfortable. Now back here, you're going to have about 35 inches of space, and what I found is that's a good average really when you want to feel comfort back here. What you're also going to notice is nice sports seating on the outer positions and a modest offering through the middle. Now up front, it's going to be around about 41 inches. So for drivers a little bit shorter, this will give a little bit more breathing room back here. Now if you look at the seating back here a little bit more, what you're going to notice truly is it doesn't feel like a bench. It's very comfortable, again with the outer sculpting for the outside passengers, the raw end of the deal going to the middle occupant, mainly because it's a little bit tighter, and of course no room for your feet with that little hump. Now what I also like is when there are 2 occupants back here, you can use this center console for nice elbow support, and I like the fact that it's nice and elevated. Even better, it's padded, and your elbows naturally go to this open space right here, and of course there's dual cup holders here when you need them. One thing that was interesting back here is if you look here at the handle, you'll find, well, no traditional locking mechanism for the backseat passengers. Truly, that's going to be operational for the front only, and really no option back here at all. Climbing into the front, this is where I truly found that my 6-foot frame squeezes it in quite easily. Now, of course, headroom is really great, and that starts with really adjusting the seat up and down, and I found that I got plenty of headroom. Second is the sports seating up here, really bolstered, allowing you to snug in tight up front, of course, because after all, when you hit the gas, this vehicle truly scoots and gives you a little bit of that sport appeal. Looking on the dash, first thing you'll notice is a modest touchscreen system, and what I like when you're in the radio settings is you do have tons of presets, really all the way up to 15, really easy to set, and of course navigate back and forth. What you also notice is you do have symmetric knobs, this one for volume, this one for tune select. Now tune select was a little bit different. You can dial in your specific station that you're looking for, but you then have to press the button. What I'd prefer is a little bit more of just tuning and let go. Now what you also notice is you have nice shortcuts here on the side. This came in handy specifically for navigation. What I also like with navigation is the inputting. As I type things in, it's really searching out different locations and gives you modest selections as you do that, versus other ones that make this process a little bit more cumbersome. Low on the dash, you're going to find controls for climate, and this is where it truly shines. I love symmetry, and these 3 knobs truly do that. Now these are going to be your temperature select for your dual zones. You of course can sync it up, or your passenger side can of course cool or heat it down how they want. All your modes are nice and simple across here, and a good symmetric knob in the middle for your fan speed. Now if you look down below, nice covering right here, press it and you get a nice deep void. That's going to allow you to kind of put your phones here, of course connect them via USB or an auxiliary jack. For the gauge cluster, you could call this Throwback Thursday because they go with the old standard analog tach and speedometer, but they did go new school with that good digital readout for the speed. On the steering wheel, you're going to find tons of controls specifically for your entertainment and for cruise control. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but they're right there. Now, one thing to note, these plus and minuses are specifically for your speed. These down here for volume control for your radio. What you also notice is some nice paddle shifters there on the steering wheel, taking this automatic to a manual-like feel. And that does it for this edition of Road Warrior and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2017 Volkswagen Golf, a vehicle that of course needs no introduction and well has been on the road for decades. What I like is it has evolved, well, somewhat subtly, still delivering that hatchback quality and all the room for a 6-foot frame and well, a nice engine under the hood. And what it truly does is give you that spirit off the line and makes this old guy feel a little bit younger. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.